Hi, I'm Rick. In this series of videos, I take you around Provincetown to everyday destinations that you can reach by bike, so you can leave the car at home. So let's go for a ride. On this everyday bike ride, I'm taking you to the bank. I'm gonna wait for some of this car traffic to clear the intersection, and then I'm gonna take a left and head onto Commercial Street. So I start all of these rides here at the East End Market. You can take a look on the map and see where we're starting and where we're heading. Now that was a Provincetown-sized car. I always love it when I see people driving small cars instead of gigantic SUVs. So I'm taking a right here onto Commercial Street and heading into town. Since today's destination is the bank, we're actually going to go to two of them. Provincetown has 3 different banks. One of them has 2 branches, which we'll see one of today. And on this ride, you'll get to compare what the bike parking is like at each of these bank destinations too. So it's a pretty nice day today. It's 11:30 in the morning. It's about 50 degrees, breezy. Winds are almost 20 miles per hour, so there's some gusts. I'm hoping my hat won't blow off during this ride. It remains to be seen. Hey, Dave. I don't know if you just saw that, but we saw one of the postal delivery folks who actually walk house to house with a little rolling cart. I always thought they might be happier with a cargo bike. So if you're new to these videos, Commercial Street is essentially a shared street. It's one way for cars and trucks, but it's 2-way for bicycles. And yes, as you see up ahead, folks walk in the street. It has a minimal sidewalk on one side. But it's very much a pedestrian and bike priority street. The speed limit along here is 15 miles per hour. I rarely ever go that fast. I'm typically going around maybe 8 miles per hour when I'm on this street. So it's not a fast way to get anywhere. But for the most part, most of my trips are not more than a mile to most of my destinations, so I don't mind going slow at all. Strangely enough, it's completely clear up ahead. There's usually lots of construction vehicles and delivery vehicles and stuff right along here, especially at this hour of the morning. Oh, big wind gust as I'm crossing Standish Street. It's because the pier and the waterfront was just there to the left, so there's lots and lots of wind at that spot. So we're just passing Town Hall. We're almost to the bank. Which is an hour away. See if there's a fight. So coming up on the left is the bank, the first bank we're heading to. Let's push past this guy. I expect that most folks actually arrive at this bank on foot. They have an ATM out here on the outside. The main entrance right here has an ATM in the foyer. They have a walk-up window inside as well. And there's even a drive-thru, and the drive-thru is perfectly fine to take your bike through. I've even walked up a couple of times. So let's take a look at their bike parking. So the bank, this bank, Seamen's Bank, has been in Provincetown about 125 years. I'm going to drive around the drive-thru. It's an odd little building. They have parking underneath it, and they have parking outside. And they have a little bike rack right here by the back door. So it's one of those antique bike racks I'm not a huge fan of, but at least there is a bike rack. At some point we'll try to get them to upgrade it to something a little more appropriate for different kinds of bikes. So that is the bike parking at Seamen's Bank. The next bank I'm taking you to is Cape Cod 5. Now, Cape Cod 5 is at a building that was a Tedeschi gas station and convenience store that then became a 7-Eleven, which got rid of the gas pumps when it became a 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven didn't last very long. They sold the building to Cape Cod 5, and Cape Cod 5 opened a branch. They had to go through all sorts of town site plan review. And the result is pretty good, not perfect. But if you can imagine turning a very car-oriented gas station into a bank, it sounds like an easy task. But it wasn't. We're going to turn left up here. I'm going to head along Bradford Street, because the bank is at the corner of Bradford Street and Standish Street. It is really windy again. You can see a candidate for the select board standing here. Today is election day in town, so he's reminding folks to vote. I already voted. So this is Bradford Street. You'll see up ahead on the left, one of only, ooh, it's windy. On the left is one of only 2 remaining gas stations in town. And up here on the right, after this intersection, is the Cape Cod 5 bank. So I'm going to head up here, turn right, holding my hat down so it doesn't blow off while I'm riding. So this is Cape Cod 5. It's unfortunately not obvious from here, from this angle. You can't really see that they have bike parking. But here it is. This white bike rack was required by the town's planning board and part of the site planning process for this building. These sidewalks were also new. There were no sidewalks here. This is typically the approach that most people would make to come to the bank via Standish Street to the sidewalk here and to the bike rack. I'm going to pause a second and talk a little bit about bike racks. So the bike racks that you see here were the result of our planning board requiring bike racks in this development. The town now recommends that folks follow the APBP Bike parking guidelines. You can find a link to those in the description below, because those are really good standards for bike racks that are accessible, that any type of bike can use, that when the bikes are locked to them, they won't fall over like they do on a lot of vintage bike racks or schoolyard bike racks. And these bike racks are actually pretty good. They're on a relatively flat surface. They're attached to the ground. They're actually bolted into the pavement, and there's enough clearance for folks to get around. The only unfortunate thing is that they're not really visible from the parking lot because there are cars parked right in front of them. But we can't win them all. And they're relatively close to the entrance. So this is just a good example of good bike parking. Thanks so much for joining me on this little bike ride to the bank. This is something that I do a lot, so I'm really familiar with it. I'd love to know what it's like in your community. Can you ride your bike to the bank? Is it easy? Is it hard? Are there challenges or obstructions along the way? What keeps you from riding to the bank if you don't already? I'd love to find out more about what riding a bike to the bank is like in your community. Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, take a look at the whole playlist of everyday bike rides. I go to all sorts of places all over Provincetown, so you can see what it's like to ride your bike in a super bike-friendly town to everyday destinations. Have a great ride, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.